awesome.
That's very precarious. Yeah. I think we need a little more slack. But you might hold
We'll
that.
tell them right now.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Bradford Becker. Welcome to Red Barn Radio. This evening we continue on in our 23rd year of broadcasting with episode number 876. Hey, and isn't it great that we can all be here to enjoy music together? You know, some of you had a great day today because of the election. Some of you had a great day today despite the election. But you know, what's wonderful is that we're all here for the same reason tonight, to enjoy music. And what music do we enjoy more than old time music? Our guest this week is Hogtown, and is comprised of three guys you may know, especially if you're a lover of old time music. Hogtown is Thomas Albert, Nick Lloyd, and John Ryster. Each is immensely talented and has his own cool story to tell. The guys come to us from the wild eastern Kentucky territory that lies between Mount Sterling and Ashland. We're glad they can be with us here tonight. Welcome, Hogtown.
Molly, when you give me your right hand, you say if you ever married, then I'd be the man. Well, now you broke your promise, go marry who you please, while my poor heart is breaking, you're lying at your ease. Don't you remember, Molly, when you give me your right hand, you say if you ever married, then I'd be the man. Well, now you broke your promise, go marry who you please, while my poor heart is breaking, you're lying at your ease. On Sunday, you passed me on by. I can tell your mind was changing by the roving of your eye. Your hair's black as raven, your eyes black as coal. Your cheeks shine like lilies out in the morning glow. wished I was in London or some other seaport town. I'd set my foot in a steamboat and I'd sail the whole world round. While sailing around the ocean, while sailing around the sea, I think of handsome Molly wherever she may be.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performance.
Hogtown is our guest tonight on Red Barn Radio. Thomas Albert, Hogtown's heartthrob, plays just about any string instrument known to man. Nick Lloyd not only plays basses, but also makes them. And the same is true for your fiddling guy up here, John Ryster. His workshop is in a place called, yeah, you guessed it, Hogtown Ridge. We're glad you're with us tonight for a good old time of music and conversation with Hogtown.
Thank you. Take us off, Johnny. Richmond Blues, Johnny.
I'm going to the depot, look upon the board. If a train ain't here, somewhere on the road, somewhere on the road, somewhere on the road. If a train ain't here, somewhere on the road. Listen, what my mama said, I would be sleeping in my own bed. But me being young and foolish too, I left my home on account of you, on account of you, on account of you. I left my home on account of you. If I
That's an old-time tune called the Richmond Blues. Some call it All Night Long. We're going to do an old honky tonk song now. We're going to kick off that. Pick me up. Two. I want to. You were mine for just a while, but now you're putting on a style, and you never once looked back at your home across the track. You're the gossip of the town, but my heart can still be found where you tossed it on the ground. Pick me up on your way down. Pick me up on your way down when you're blue and all alone. When the glamour starts to bore you, come on back where you belong. You may be their pride and joy, but they'll find another toy, and they'll take away your crown. Pick me up on your way down. Changed your attitude, made you haughty and so rude. Your new friends can take the blame. Underneath you're still the same. When you've learned these things are true, I'll be waiting here for you. When you tumble to the ground, pick me up on your way down. Pick me up on your way down when you're blue and all alone. When the glamour starts to bore you, come on back where you belong. You may be their pride and joy, but they'll find another toy, and they'll take away your crown. Pick me up on your way down. Oh yes, they'll take away your crown. Pick me up on your way down. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, yes, yes. Right. Another instrument.
Right off the bat, John's going to swap instruments here and get the old-time banjo for you.
Acrobatics here, folks, for you. We're going to do one for the cuckoo.
Where's this come from?
I believe it comes from England originally, but we got it from a fellow from North Carolina here, Tom Clarence Ashley. We're going to do the cuckoo for you. Oh, the cuckoo, she's a pretty bird, and she won't go as she flies. She don't ever holler cuckoo till the 4th day of July. I played cards in old England, and I played cards in Spain. I bet you $10 I'll beat you next game. Jack of diamonds, I've known you from old. You robbed my poor pockets of pretty bird, and she wore bows. Says she flies, she don't never holler cuckoo till the 4th day of July. Thank you. Allow me to switch one more time.
Pick up that mandolin there.
How about you grab that mandolin again, Johnny?
We'll do an old Jimmy Rogers song. Jimmy Rogers and the Carter Family were some of the two first groups that were recorded as commercialized country music. Ralph Peer recorded them in the Bristol sessions in 1927, and they were broadcast far and wide on the radio. And we'll do a version of his Mule Skinner Blues. Good morning, Captain. Good morning, Shine. Do you need another mule skinner on your new mud line? I'm rolling all the time. I can pop my initial on a mule's behind. Yodelay, yodelay. Hey, hey, little water boy, bring that water round. If you don't like your job, set that water bucket down. Yodelay, 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 aye. Working on the good road, $1.50 a day. Hey, my good gal's waiting on a Saturday night just to draw my pay. Yodelay, yodelay. Well, I'm going to town, honey. What do you want me to bring you back? Bring a pint of booze and a John B. Stetson hat. Yodelay, yodelay. Well, I smell your bread a-burning. Why don't you turn your damper down? If you ain't got a damper, good gal, turn your bread around. Yodelay, thank you.
Thomas, way to do that yodeling.
Oh, thank you.
That sounded
so much,
great.
Brad.
Yeah, that sounded great. I loved it. Also loved what you did earlier, John, in Cuckoo. That's that's just such a beautiful lick you got going on.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty lick. I try to screw it up best I can, but it's
No,
hard to mess it up there.
You just didn't. It sounded great. Well, John, since you played the most instruments, we'll just assume that you have the most to say.
It's the least to say. I played the most instruments because I'm not good enough at any of them. A decent fiddler could play every one of these songs on the fiddle.
Tell us about you, your path, your upbringing and education that sort of brought you to where you are now, to not only to this music, but well, let's talk about your fiddle, your craftsmanship later. Let's
Okay.
talk right now about just sort of your musical roots.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm from Jackson, Ohio, originally, southeastern Ohio, originally, and I came up to Moorhead in around 2008 for college. And
At Morehead State.
at Moorhead State,
Okay.
that's right.
What'd you come there to study?
Well, I came there to study jazz guitar,
Oh.
but I decided against it. And I had maybe 3 or 4 other majors before I landed on construction management. But I met Jesse Wells there when I was first going because they had a traditional music program there. And that was the main reason I decided I might be interested in Moorhead. And when I met Jesse Wells in 2008, it was middle of October, and the leaves on the mountains there in Moorhead were just bright orange. And Jesse Wells looked like Jason Lee from My Name Is Earl. If anybody out there listening is old enough to remember that show,
Yeah.
and I thought this is the place for me. You got My Name Is Earl here as an instructor, and it's beautiful. And I said, this is it. So I decided to go to Moorhead, and I met a girl there that I married, my wife Rachel Fannin.
Ah, come
And
on.
so we ended up, I live in Moorhead now. I left for a little while. We lived in Georgetown for a little while, and we moved back during the pandemic and wouldn't want to live any other place.
Well, track back to Ohio when you were growing up. That's where music came into your life,
Yes, sir.
presumably.
Yep.
From where?
Well, I worked at a
whom?
music store in high school and college. They're Hummingbird Music. I'm not sure if it's still open or not, but I learned a lot from an old man named Walt Cook, who was the owner there. And he was actually, he used to tell us stories from his home in eastern Kentucky. And he said, when I was a kid, he said it wouldn't, the sun wouldn't come out till 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it'd be gone by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I found out later he was from Cranston, there in Round County. He might have been exaggerating a little bit.
What kind of music store was this?
They sold everything from harmonicas to electric guitars and drums and PA systems. But he really encouraged learning by ear, and he played more country music and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But when I went to Moorhead, I found old time, and I grew up on bluegrass music and old country and kind of classic rock kind of music. And when I found old time, I thought, man, this is, there's a good mix of everything in old time. You can really hear how old time has influenced all of this. And so, and like I said, I already admitted that I thought Jesse was pretty cool. So I just kind of fell in love with old time music there at Moorhead.
Well, yeah, well, the hole in your story though is about your interest in jazz music, and how is it that you happened to go to Moorhead to a traditional music program, planning to study jazz
I
guitar?
wanted to play guitar. I was a guitar player at the time, and I wanted to play guitar, and I thought jazz guitar was probably as close to guitar as I could get in college. And so I thought, well, jazz guitar, there's guitar, that's half of it. I'll just have to learn jazz. I don't want to badmouth anybody.
So you probably just thought then that, well, you're not going to go to like school to study rock guitar.
Right. And
Or
thank goodness I
country
didn't
guitar.
study rock guitar, right? I wouldn't be here at Red Barn Radio.
That's right. That's right. But how did you lose your interest in jazz, or was your interest in jazz only thinking
My interest in
this is
jazz
gonna-
was purely because it had guitar at the end of it.
Yeah, gotcha. Uh-huh.
I thought maybe I'll write jingles for commercials or something when I grow up. It had guitar in it, and I wanted to go for music.
Yeah.
And so traditional music was more what I was interested in.
And so, did you ever get into teaching, or do you teach now?
I have a few students here or there
Who want to learn old time fiddle?
who want to learn old time fiddle or banjo, and I'm pretty upfront about it because I try to chase them away. I'm not a great teacher. I taught myself to play everything, and I don't know how to teach people if they don't learn the way I learn. So I'm not the best teacher in the world. We do have a teacher in the group, but I am not that. I do have a couple students here or there that I pick up along the way, and I give them lessons as I can. mostly out in Elliott County or my part of Round County or Morgan County, but I don't teach a lot of people.
So what good teachers have that you don't got is the ability to sort of draw upon like a particular methodology or technique.
I think the knowledge of what they're playing. I don't know really what I'm playing at any given time. I think these fellows will attest to that. They tell me a bunch of numbers, and I was like, I'm going to have to really sit down and do some hard algebra here to figure out what you guys are talking about.
John doesn't give himself enough credit though either. He likes to put himself down here, but
Well, Thomas, since you're talking now, say something.
Yeah,
Say something.
Here comes the educator
so
among
tell,
us.
tell the real truth about John. He's too humble.
John's mighty fine. We lived together when
We did live together.
John and I were in school together at the same time at Moorhead,
Oh, you were? Okay.
and we lived together, tolerated each other for a couple years, and then John graduated. I changed majors probably
Right as I was
one more
graduating.
time than John, so I stuck around for a couple years longer than I should have, and found the traditional music program as it was developing the bachelor's degree program, and decided I wanted to stick in Moorhead and pursue that.
How long ago was that? That they started an actual major?
2013.
I think 2012 or 11 is when they finalized the bachelor's degree,
Okay.
and I was in school then, graduated in 14. Yeah, I think it was 12.
So Thomas, your dad passed. That was how long ago was that? Was that just about a year ago?
Almost a year ago, middle of December. Actually.
Yeah, and was your dad a music teacher?
Dad was a teacher, certainly. He was a communications professor at the university there in Moorhead.
Yeah.
Taught there for like 37 years. He taught me how to play music early on, but wasn't a professional music teacher, but a good teacher.
Yeah. What did he play?
Dad played everything. That's his mandolin that John's holding. It's always nice to. In the past year, John's been playing some of his instruments for me and keeping
that's
them
gotta be
alive,
nice.
and,
Yeah.
And keeping his presence here with us. But Dad played mandolin. He started on guitar when around college age. He picked up the guitar and had a folk band. The East Dorset Street Singers was the group. Dad was from the cluster of cities there outside of the D.C. area in Virginia, Northern Virginia there, Annandale, Alexandria.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Fairfax County.
I used to live in
Vienna.
Annandale. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Uh-huh.
too.
Uh-huh.
So Dad was playing in a folk band. He was a child of the 60s folk revival, and that's likely what sparked his interest in old-time music, listening to groups like the New Lost City Ramblers,
Yeah,
and Mike
sure.
Seeger and those folks, Pete Seeger. And growing up, Dad played a lot of that music still. He actually had, one of my earliest memories was an Irish folk band playing traditional Irish songs called the Shenanigans. And that was a group of maybe 5 or 6 people, and they had guitars and fiddles and the bodhrán, and they played a lot of that Irish music that made an impression on me, and I have a fondness for that, as well as the bluegrass music that I grew up hearing in Kentucky. They moved to Kentucky in the late 80s, and I was born in Moorhead.
Oh, okay.
And so Dad taught me to play, getting back to the instruments, he played guitar, mandolin, and banjo. And when I was about, I think on my 4th birthday, he and Mom gave me a baritone ukulele that has some similarities to the guitar. The top 4 strings, you can make some of the same chord shapes as the guitar, and so that got me started. He helped me put some little star stickers on the fingerboard to show me where to put my fingers and make chord shapes, and so I'd strum along with Dad's group, and even had a little cassette deck recorder, and I'd record their practices, and just was really fascinated with everything they were doing. So I wanted to play music.
Were there other kinds of music that were also pulling at you as a young person?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like what?
Especially as I got older, and
Yeah.
I grew up with 90s country radio and enjoyed that. I remember hearing, in the 90s, I hadn't heard all the early George Jones recordings, but he came out with a record I think called "The Cold Hard Truth" in mid 90s, maybe 94, and there was a song, Choices, on I've had choices since the day that I was born. And I remember Dad helped me work up that song. Any picnic or event like that, he'd stick me out front and have me play the song. But, I listened to country radio, and then as I got into high school, I got interested in loud rock and roll and played that too.
But that didn't stick for you.
Well, I have a fondness for it. It's really fun sometimes to plug in an electric guitar and just crank up an amplifier.
You mean just
And
on
we had
just
a drum set in the basement with the kick drum was a suitcase, and we wore a hole
Wore a
plumb
hole
through
through
that suitcase,
Ah.
playing rock and roll songs in the basement of our house.
Yeah.
No, but have you ever done rock bands?
In college, there was a group that I was playing with some locally, some friends of mine. We'd play loud music at events that we had an opportunity to play at, and currently I'll perform and tour with some Americana, more contemporary country groups that one might argue is more like rock and roll. All electrified instruments and a drum kit and all that. And
Yeah.
that's playing steel guitar, typically.
Which you do beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a fun instrument. It's full of challenges, but a beautiful and inspiring instrument.
And would you say that's your favorite instrument?
Yeah, I think I'm most fascinated with that instrument. Probably more comfortable on the guitar than the pedal steel guitar, but it is such a beautiful instrument.
Yeah. Did you find yourself when you started playing pedal steel? Did you draw upon the playing of one or two particular players?
Not necessarily at first. It was such a mystery at first, and I think we talked about this the show that I was here with Kentucky Hosscats about getting my first steel guitar. I inherited it from my father's brother, who passed away several years back, and he'd bought a starter steel guitar, and on his deathbed wanted me to take this guitar. So I took it home and was working on wrapping my head around the 10 strings and the pedals and the knee levers and the bar and the volume pedal and an amplifier, just a lot of moving parts. And I didn't really sign up for lessons with anyone right away. Now you can consult the internet and get some guidance. So I started there, and right away I realized, oh, these are all the sounds from my childhood, from 90s radio that I heard, and I didn't think about that sound a whole lot, these high-pitched sounds and these crying sounds, and it sparked an interest, and I dove deep into it.
Well, you did a good job, and you keep it up.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I just always enjoy.
It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah, right. Hey, and then Nick Lloyd is our other player up here. Nick, talk about your journey. Where did you grow up, and how did you get into this instrument in particular?
Well, I'm from central Iowa, so I don't have a dog in the race in terms of Kentucky versus Ohio. But yeah, I'm from central Iowa, and I'm at the double bass in the 4th grade. It was a Friday. It was in the fall. I remember everything about that day.
Really?
Yeah, it was like the bass picked me.
And was it a band instrument?
It was we had a real strong public strings program in central Iowa, and so they said, you're going to pick a string instrument today, and no one picked a double bass, and I did, and I was like, well, okay, I think that's where I'm at. And I'm right now, it's hard to see on the radio, I'm 6'4", so I was a tall child.
Yeah.
And they were like, you're going to play double bass. I'm like, that'd be great. That's fine by me.
How old were you when you moved from Iowa to Kentucky, and why?
Well, I moved from, I finished high school when I was 17. I moved to Boston, and then Pennsylvania, and then Utah, and then Cincinnati. And then 3 years ago, my wife's a Kentuckian, and she brought me down here. And so I've lived here since then, and we're not gonna move again. I love Kentucky.
What was all the moving about?
It was chasing dreams, chasing music. I wanted to be a professional bassist, and I did that for a while. And then I met a bass luthier. He repaired upright basses. That was in Boston, and I realized I want to be a bass luthier for a living. So I studied violin making, and then eventually I found a bass maker in Utah, living out in the desert, you know, making a bass with this guy. So now I build basses full time in my shop, and then I play the music that I want to play with the people that I want to play with. And I don't do heavy touring or deal with loud drummers or any of that stuff. I love this trio, and I love acoustic music so much. But yeah, I was always chasing information on how to build double basses.
Your family's still out in Iowa?
Yeah, family's still in central Iowa.
And central Iowa being, is that Des Moines or?
Yeah, Ames, Des Moines, Indianola, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That region. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ames is a kind of a neat town. I spent a little bit of time there.
Yeah, they got a state college and a lot of different cultures and different music, but I grew up listening to the Beatles, the Stones, Greg Brown.
I was going to say Greg Brown and Ramsey, right? And, Bo Ramsey, and who is Greg's wife?
Now she's Iris DeMent. Yeah,
Iris DeMent.
Back then he wasn't. They weren't together.
That's right, and she's not. And Iris DeMent's not from Iowa.
She's not. I mean, Iowa will accept her, but yeah, she's not from Iowa.
Right.
But yeah, growing up as a toddler, I don't remember this. My mom said I used to rock my crib to the bass lines of Bob Dylan tunes, the Stones, the Beatles. She's like, you always love the bass. In diapers, you love the bass.
Huh.
So it was like I was kind of born into this great instrument.
Got a favorite Greg Brown album? Do you still listen to a lot of them?
I do listen to Greg Brown. The green one that has the Iowa Waltz on it. That's I think it's his first one.
Oh, okay.
And he's walking down a road with his little baby boy. They're just walking down an Iowa dirt road. And, but yeah, it was probably the first memory I have of somebody singing was Greg Brown singing, like if I was 4 or 5 years old.
He's a character.
He's a character.
I mean, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Was on Prairie Home a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Great storyteller. I remember. Got to see him play a lot in. Not only out there and in that area, but also in New England when I moved there.
Okay.
He played regularly at a place called the Iron Horse.
Yeah.
And that's where I got turned on to his music.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's not, but not. I don't think he's singing anymore. I think he's retired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great songwriter.
Great songwriter.
Iowa.
But yeah, in Utah, I came across Bob Wills. And that was the second, thing that really changed my life was Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. I had never heard of Western Swing, and to hear great improvisers playing over traditional chord structure. You talk about jazz guitar; it's very attractive, the improvisation, but not many people want to go to a jazz gig. But people would go to like a hot Western Swing band, or just like a hot country band. Like Lyle Lovett's band is essentially a Western Swing band, So I like to bring in a little bit of that Western Swing feel into this trio now and again, if the tune calls for it,
And was it the bass? Was it especially bass that drew you into that music as well? Because I mean, bass plays a terrific role in Western Swing.
Yeah, it was when I was studying violin making at this school in Salt Lake City. There were a bunch of us, and there was a friend of mine. He was studying bow making and fiddle making. He was from Utah, and he was like, "Man, you got to hear Bob Wills." And I just love the steel guitar, electric mandolin.
Right.
I mean, all these instruments, just creating this unison of cacophony, and it was incredible. So that really shifted my playing and my ears.
Yeah.
But I still love Merle Haggard and George Jones and Louvin Brothers and, the stuff we're playing tonight just really, it kind of makes time stand still when you play these great songs.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, indeed. Should we get back to some more music?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the next song you're going to play?
Little Louvin Brothers there.
Speaking of whom?
My
Good, so My Baby's
Gone.
Gone. All right. I don't know if I know this song.
1, 2, I want to.
Hold back the rushing minutes, make the wind lie still. Don't let the moonlight shine across the lonely hill. Dry all the raindrops and pull back the sun. My world has ended, my baby's gone. The milkman whistles softly as he comes up to my door. The mailman brings the letters by just like he did before. They seem so busy all day long, as though there's nothing wrong. But don't they know the world has ended? My baby's gone. Hold back the rushing minutes, make the wind lie still. Don't let the moonlight shine across the lonely hill. Dry all the raindrops and pull back the sun. My world has ended, my baby's gone. I wake up sometimes in the night and realize you're gone. Then I toss upon my bed and wait for day to come. I try to tell my lonely heart it must go on alone, but it cries the world has ended, my baby's gone. Hold back the rushing minutes, make the wind lie still. Don't let the moonlight shine across the lonely hill. Dry all the raindrops and pull back the sun. My world has ended, my baby's gone. But don't they know the world has ended, my baby's gone. Thank you. Thank you.
I do know that song.
We kind of know it.
Yeah, we know a little bit. That's in modal.
All right.
You want to do a hat trick?
Yeah. Just radio.
Yeah, we do a little hat trick here. It's mostly for live performances. Okay, here we're gonna do.
What just happened?
That's right. Nobody will ever know unless they're streaming this on YouTube, I guess. Or I don't know. There was some other things. I'm out of touch with reality. I don't know what some of those streaming services were, but okay, we're gonna do another fiddle tune here for you here called June Apple. It's a little bit out of season, but I think it'll be okay. You there?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Close.
1, 2, 3. Every time that pretty girl pass, she'd take a bite of me. Fine young man, Charlie, he's a dandy. Charlie, he's a good old boy, feeds them girls on candy. I'm gonna get some wriggly wheat, I'm gonna get some barley, gonna get some wriggly wheat and bake a cake for Charlie. I'm gonna get a juniper hanging on a vine. Every time that pretty girl passed, I wish she was mine. Thank you there. We'll let Tom deposit this banjo over here real quick. Strap on his good. Oh, yeah. Oh. And we're going to play one here from Kentucky fiddler Snake Chapman. He was from Pike County, Kentucky, a community called Canada, Kentucky. So this is a Canadian tune. I like to say this is my theme song. This is what my wife tells me every time I go to play a gig. She says, "Johnny, don't get drunk." And that's what the name of this tune is here.
Yeah. Great tune. Hey, before we get on to more music with Hogtown, I'd like to take a moment to remind listeners that these live streams, like the one you're listening to tonight, is online for you to view at your convenience. You don't have to be live with us. It doesn't die. Let's just put it that way. It'll be there forever. So you can go back and look at it whenever you want. You can share it with your friends whenever you want. Don't miss a single episode of our program, and be sure to tell all your family and your buddies what it is that you like about Red Barn Radio, so they'll listen too, and maybe get on and like us and engage with us in ways that will help us to make money. Our guest next week is Mickey Zip. Pause. Yeah. So I don't know Mickey very well either. All I know is that I love her music, and I'm really looking forward to meeting her because we have similar roots, which are planted in Syracuse, New York. I know maybe she really has roots there. Maybe she was born there or something. I just happened to live there during some of my formative years and learned a ton while I lived there. She lives in Nashville, Tennessee now, and she's been there since 2013, and she started playing music when she was just a little punk, when she was 14 years old. As soon as she hit Nashville, Mickey began performing as a singer-songwriter in and around Nashville at various venues and fairs and festivals and bars and barbecue joints. Her passion to perform on stage earned her a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Performing Arts, studying in both Los Angeles and New York City. After she graduated in 2020, she returned to Nashville to continue her journey as a recording artist. Mickey Zip most enjoys writing in the storytelling ways of country music. In her songs, there's an influence of old school country, a little bit of rock and roll, and some modern stuff. Her inspirations are people like Stevie Nicks and Ashley McBryde, and even Linda Ronstadt, who we were just discussing a little while ago. We look forward to our time with Mickey. I know you will too. That's Mickey Zip. Next week on Red Barn Radio, in studio and on Red Barn Radio's live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. And now it's time to get back to Hogtown.
Thank you. And this is a song that comes to us from George Jones and Melba Montgomery. Well, they were a singing partner early on in George Jones's career. George and Melba recorded several albums together.
Well, everybody knows old Melba.
Oh, she was great.
That's right. I didn't know if it was a man or a woman.
All right, jump the Mississippi.
Go for it.
Come on. Well, I've been lonely much too long. I'd give a Yankee dime if you come back home. Honey, won't you let me hold you tight? Tears keep falling and my eyes are blurred. If I had the wings of a pretty little bird, I'd fly to your arms tonight. I'd jump the Mississippi deep and wide if you was waiting on the other side. Honey, just to hug and hold you tight. Well, I'd jump across and never get wet, and right there by your side I'd said, yes indeed, everything's gonna be alright. Hey! Oh yeah! If you would just come home to me and make me happy like it used to be, I'd start out and I'd meet you halfway. Well, I'd leave here and I'd never look back. I'd run a mile in a minute flat to get to you before the end of the day. I'd jump the Mississippi deep and wide if you was waiting on the other side. Honey, just to hug and hold you tight. Well, I'd jump across and never get wet, and right there by your side I'd say, yes, indeed, everything's gonna be alright.
Mississippi deep and wide. If you was waiting on the other side, honey, just to hug and hold you tight. Well, I jump across and never get wet, and right there by your side I said, yes, indeed, everything's gonna be all right. Oh, yes, indeed, everything's gonna be all right.
There it is.
Hey, that's Nick Lloyd on the bass. Mighty fine.
Yes, sir.
One bass solo per night. In the contract.
Okay.
It's always fun to turn Nick loose on one of these songs.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to do a couple songs that come from a record that we really enjoyed, recorded by Keith Whitley and Ricky Skaggs.
Second Generation. What was this
The album was
lady's
called
name?
Second Generation Bluegrass.
What was the lady's name?
Yeah, this is a song that Ricky's mother, Dorothy Skaggs,
This
wrote,
one goes out to Dorothy out there.
called All I Ever Loved Was You. All I ever loved was you. You broke a heart that cried for you. I've wasted all my tears on you. For all I ever loved was you. Go out and find somebody new, but you'll be sorry if you do. You'll never find a love so true. For all I ever loved was you. All I ever loved was you. You broke a heart that cried for you. I've wasted all my tears on you. For all I ever loved was you. Buy her rings and diamonds too, but you'll be sorry if you do. You'll never find a love so true. For all I ever loved is you. All I ever loved was you. You broke a heart that cried for you. I've wasted all my tears on you. For all I ever loved was you. I've wasted all my tears on you. For all I ever loved was you.
We're going to do another one that came off that record, Second Generation here. It was a Ralph Stanley song. Stanley Brothers recorded this originally, I believe. And we like to call it "If You're Gonna Cheat on Me, Cheat in West Liberty." But it's really if you're gonna cheat on me, don't cheat in our hometown. All right, here we go. Tonight my heart is beating low and my head is bad. side of town. I don't mind this waiting, don't mind this hanging round. But if you're gonna cheat on me, don't cheat in our hometown. How can I stand up to my friends and look them in the eye? Admit to questions that I know would be nothing but lies. Spend all your pastime making me a clown. But if you're gonna cheat on me, don't cheat in our hometown. There are no secrets in this little country town. Everyone knows everyone for miles and miles around. Your bright eyes and your sweet smile are driving me insane. You think it's smart to break my heart and run down my name. How can I stand up to my friends and look them in the eye? Admit the questions that I know would be nothing but lies. You spend all your pastime making me a clown. But if you're gonna cheat on me, don't cheat in our hometown. Yes, if you're gonna cheat on me, don't cheat in our hometown.
Hey, our guest this evening on Red Barn Radio, if you're just joining us, is Hogtown. They come from out in eastern Kentucky. Well, indirectly. I mean, some of them are from eastern Kentucky. Two of them are from eastern Kentucky. One's from Iowa, we've learned. One of them. One of these guys.
Moorhead, if that's what he wants,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
claim him.
So yeah, I had to laugh at the looking at the set list. This happens, right? You know how sometimes Google Docs when you cut them and paste them, they all come all the text is all together. So oftentimes we'll have on a set list. You know, I have there's a song called like song number 10 was called "All I Ever Loved Was."
That's right. It does say that here. I just noticed it
And
now.
yeah, and then number 11, of course, is "You Don't Cheat in Our Hometown."
Now you're blaming Google Docs. I sent you the email. That's probably me.
No, it wasn't. It was my bad cut and paste job. It reminds me of. So I know it's hard for you to imagine that I haven't always been a polished professional like I'm showing here this evening. But there was a time when I would come here each evening and I was very nervous, and especially when we had old time bands on some of the early days, because I didn't know anything about old time music. I thought that, what kind of a song title is this? Yeah. And I remember stepping up to this microphone one evening, and I've got a set list for the band, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, kind of looking around like, geez, what kind of songs are these? These are some songs. They're all like food themed. And it's like, yeah, it's like, right. No, things like the first song was a pack of fork and some spoons, and then the next song was napkins, and then the next song was something about straws and styrofoam. And so little did I know that what I had done is that over on the table over there, I'd picked up a shopping list, and I thought it was the set list. Yeah. Anyway, true story. Really did happen. Yeah. So, all right. I want to talk about your bass there, if I could, Nick. It looks kind of like like you pulled it out of a dumpster.
Yeah, I bought it brand new out of a dumpster.
No, it does. And I always find this funny that some of the most discerning players and even instrument makers end up on stage with an instrument that looks so trashed like that one. Can you tell what's special about that bass? Because I'm just joking.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. It's well, I bought a brand new, and it's a well-built tank, made in Germany in 1995, and I've taken it to indoors, outdoors, under the moon, under the sun. It's got beer and whiskey and sweat and spilled on it over the years, and it's I called it the old speckled hen because the varnish is coming off and it's a bit speckled here and there. So for a lot of the gigs we're playing, I wouldn't want to take a fine instrument, but the old speckled hen is good for indoors, outdoors, and everything in between.
Yeah,
So.
and so I'm glad you think so much about this venue that you were able to bring that with you. What does it have written on the back of it? What's that? Is that
So
something special?
a couple. It's some nerdy bass player stuff. Two great bass players that I enjoy, Martin Wind and Marty Ballou. They're German and New Jersey bassists. They used this once on a gig, and they were in the region and they needed a bass and they used it, and I just said, "Will you please sign the back of my bass?" And so I had a marker, and it's slowly getting worn off over the years, but yeah, just great bass players that played it, just signed it. So
Cool,
yeah.
cool. And what about the materials used to make a bass? Am I accurate in assuming that it's not that the wood isn't as important with a bass as it is with, say, a violin or a mandolin or a guitar?
It's just as important, yeah. For people that are using a bow and orchestras, playing, a really fine instrument, it's the same as a violin. It's spruce front and generally maple back and sides. That's what.
Oh, okay.
Those are the basses that I build. This bass, the old speckled hen, is made out of plywood, and it's it takes a licking, keeps on ticking, but it's built really strong. It doesn't crack, and you can play it in different humidities, and whereas a fine instrument would be cracking if you were to play it in a dry or a really humid environment and you've got open seams. So
Okay.
But it's the same wood as a violin.
Yeah. Where did the term doghouse come from?
Yeah,
And where'd
that's,
that come from?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anybody know?
There's doghouse, bull fiddle, contrabass, double bass, string bass, upright bass. I mean, they're all the same thing. Doghouse, I don't know what vernacular that stems from. I certainly have heard it, but
Big enough cavity that a dog could fit inside of it.
I mean, you could put a dog in there, sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where I keep my dog.
You keep your dog in the upright bass. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
Made of plywood. I figured the rain wouldn't bother it.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
aside from the fact that you just love the bass,
Yeah.
what is it that drew you to be a luthier of those kinds of instruments versus, you said you started by studying violin,
Yeah.
by studying violin making,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I early on I asked the double bass maker if I could apprentice with him, and he said, "Have you made violins?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Go make violins first, and if you find that you enjoy that, then you can scale that up to a double bass." Essentially, that's this is a really large violin. He also said, "Go mess up small pieces of wood, and if you get good at that, you can start messing up big pieces of wood."
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
a beginner violin for a maker is about $200 worth of lumber. A double bass is about $2,000 worth of lumber. So you want to get
course.
pretty established with your hand skills and your and varnishing and everything that you can scale that up. But don't just go make a double bass if you've never made a violin. So I studied violin making and then later scaled that up.
Oh, makes perfect sense.
So, yeah, I always wanted to make double basses. I just had to take that advice and start small.
Oh, I wished I'd thought of that. That makes perfect sense. Right. That's great. That's great. Is it your intention to expand into doing other kinds of instruments, or are you totally fixed on what you do and only what you do? Are you a lifelong learner?
I'm a lifelong learner
Yeah.
for the double bass.
Yeah,
I'm
gotcha.
completely obsessed with a double bass. I don't want to make anything else.
What's the most recent thing that you've learned about making basses that comes to mind? Like what's a moment that you can remember in bass making where you went like, oh, you know?
Well, I mean, it's probably recently. It's you talk to great old master makers, and they're like, I'll always be a student of varnish. Like you never stop learning. And just recently, I use about 5 or 6 different ingredients in my varnish recipe and the process. Well, if you just change the process a little bit, you've got a whole new look and style of aesthetic. And so I realized I needed to like put step 5 at step 4 and step 4 at step 6, and now I've got a varnish that's much different. But it's not so much about raw ingredients, it's about technique. So I'm always playing around with my varnish technique to push it and make it look better.
Yeah.
So
how do you advertise your bass making and sell instruments and so that this is lucrative for you?
It's a lot of word of mouth. So I've been doing it 24 years. I've built 64 basses. So it's a lot of like
64.
A lot of word of mouth. I mean, I advertise in trade journals, but it's really like I made a bass and that bassist told their teacher, and then that teacher told someone else, and it takes a long time. There's a lot of trust involved. But yeah, it's a lot of word of mouth. I go to bass conventions, which are the nerdiest thing you've ever heard of.
It sounds like
but it's every 2 years, and it's 1,000 double bass players get together at a conservatory for a week, and it's mad nerdy. And every night at every bar is like New Year's Eve. I mean, bass players, we like a good time. So it's a convention of bass love. So I set up a booth there, and I show my work, and I meet with players. So that's another outlet of advertising. But a lot of it is word of mouth.
This is sort of a cheap question to ask.
Go ahead.
But okay, good. Yeah. So like, what would like your best bass maybe cost somebody?
My best bass would cost $47,000.
47,000.
Yeah.
Is that and that is something that's made to somebody else's specs? Somebody who said this is exactly what I want.
Yep.
Totally custom.
Yep.
Huh.
I do that. I also just build what I like and sell that. But I like to custom build basses individually for specific players, because it's a very large instrument. String lengths vary, models vary, sizes vary. I build a bass where the neck comes off for flying, so there's mechanisms. But I do enjoy custom building upright basses for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You build fretless, fretted.
These are all fretless.
They're all fretless.
They're all fretless. Yeah.
Okay.
It's up to your left hand. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All upright basses all fretless?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I had a great old bass player told me, in the upper part of the register, we call that the upper register, where your thumb goes up.
Yes.
And the lower part is called the cash register. And that's where you make money. That's why you're getting hired to play a gig.
Nice.
These 3 positions, and the bluegrass bass players call it the handle, the neck. So down here on the handle, that's kind of where all the country music is. And then all the bass soloing is up in the upper register.
Yeah.
So I don't go up there too much.
Well, thanks. I mean, we just have never really had an opportunity to talk to a bass maker here on the show, so it's really
thanks for
interesting.
having me.
Yeah, really, really great.
Thanks for having me.
John, how about you talk some about violin? Like, what's tell us a couple of secrets for those out there listening who are violin makers.
Well,
tell a couple of secrets that you've learned that maybe have become sort of signature. I don't know, strategies for you when you're building an instrument.
Well, you just talked to a professional, and now you're talking to a hillbilly.
No.
About
Stop that. No,
the miniature version of what he does. Secrets.
Yeah. What are some things that you've learned?
I build, I say I play the fiddle, I make fiddles, but I sell violins.
That's right.
you can charge more for a violin. That's secret number one.
Okay, good. All right, that's a good one.
Second of all, secret number two is that you can do anything to any piece of wood, and as long as you make it right, it'll still sound like a fiddle. Maybe it's not a violin, but it'll still sound like a fiddle. I made one back in the spring that was entirely out of old growth American chestnut. The top, the back, the sides, the neck. The only thing that wasn't chestnut was the bridge, tailpiece, fingerboard, and pegs, and that was all curly maple, which is traditionally what you'd use for the back and sides and neck of a violin. I made all that out of curly maple. The whole rest of the fiddle was not wormy. It was old growth chestnut. It was reclaimed baseboards out of an old farmhouse in Morgan County, Kentucky.
Cool.
And still sounds like a fiddle. Tyler Childers bought it, and it's all the rage, I guess, on tour. I talked to Jesse Wells the other day, and he said everybody on tour loves it. So it's, you make basses out of plywood. You can do the same with fiddles, and just as long as you do the right things, it'll still sound like a fiddle. It'll still fiddle.
So even when you make an instrument out of old growth wood,
Yes.
it's still, when you make it, when you're finished with it, it's still a new instrument.
Yes.
And
Yes. And it still needs to get used to itself, and it helps to be played, or vibrated around. Yeah.
Yeah. Is your favorite instrument to play one that you made?
I don't own any fiddles that I've made. I can't afford to keep fiddles that I've made. The fiddle I play is an old German factory fiddle that I bought off of my mentor from back home, Ike Landrum. Same thing with Nick, probably. It's, if you make it, you can make more money selling it than you can playing it, probably.
Yeah.
I like the fiddles I make, but I don't keep them.
Okay. Is that the case, do you think, with most instrument makers?
Ones that aren't independently wealthy. If you've got one that doesn't need the money, they just enjoy doing it, maybe. But I could always sell it and enjoy that cash flow for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get back to music in just a minute, but I do want to ask you, Thomas, to talk a little bit about your craft, which is, I think of your craft. You're a wonderful musician and a singer, and play a lot of different instruments, but you're also like a really talented teacher.
Oh, well.
And I consider that a craft as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had some wonderful mentors. I have wonderful mentors. When I first came to the university, I believe Jesse Wells was the first traditional music instructor I had. I'd watched my father play banjo and picked a little bit. And my first real banjo lesson was with Jesse Wells, as this spark for traditional music was growing in me. I took a banjo lesson with him, and then kind of back to the Irish music, we had a Celtic band at the university at the time, and I started playing guitar in that ensemble. Tara Sansom taught that ensemble, and Raymond McLean became the director of our program, and I love Raymond. He's been a wonderful mentor to me, still is, and come to know his family and been able to travel with them, and they're all just wonderful folks, and it really fostered a fantastic traditional music community in Moorhead there. And I was fortunate enough, after graduating a couple years later, Raymond asked me to come back to help teach some guitar lessons, and other opportunities were presented, and so I've been teaching as an adjunct in the Kentucky Center for Traditional Music since 2016, and enjoy it. And so many wonderful students come through that program, and so many of them are out making fantastic music currently.
Yeah, well, my kid says she learned a ton from you about country music, especially, and just loved the instruction there,
Yeah.
and just loves you,
Well,
you know. So
Lucy's a fine young lady, and I really enjoyed having her in the country band and the history classes, and I was tickled that she was interested in learning the pedal steel guitar, and spoke to her not too long ago, and you know, as it seems to happen with steel guitar, you kind of get distracted from it if you don't have a lot of gigs and you're not staying on top of it, and especially if you've got another instrument that's your main instrument, you'll focus on that for a while. But she was telling me that she's ready to get back to focusing on the steel guitar more.
all right.
It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah, right. Well, Hogtown, let's get back to
let's
some
do
more music, huh?
here.
All right.
We'll,
Welcome back, Hogtown, folks.
1, 2, 3.
Now I'm just a bartender, and I don't like my work, but I don't mind the money at all. I've seen lots of sad faces and lots of bad cases of folks with their back to the wall. I need 4 walls around me to hold my life and keep me from going astray, and a honky tonk angel to hold me tight and keep me from slipping away. I can light up your smokes, I can laugh at your jokes, I can watch you fall down on your knees. I can close down this bar, I can gas up my car, I can lock up and mail in my key. But I need 4 walls around me to hold my life and keep me from going astray, and a honky tonk angel to hold me tight and keep me from slipping away. Smoke fills the air of this honky tonk bar, and I'm thinking about where I'd rather be. But I burned all my bridges and I sank all my ships, and I'm standing at the edge of the sea. Keep me from going astray, and a honky tonk angel to hold me tight and keep me from slipping away. I need a honky tonk angel to hold me tight, keep me from slipping away. Hey, thank you very much.
Grab the old time banjo here for one.
Where's this song come from, Johnny?
Anybody out there ever been to Toast, North Carolina?
Yeah, I have.
I've been to Toast.
What's in toast?
This one comes from an old fellow named Tommy Jarrell out in Toast, North Carolina. Let me hear a D chord. If anybody's ever been to the Andy Griffith Museum, they may have drove through Toast unbeknownst to them. That's there in Mount Airy. Toast is a little small community right outside of Mount Airy, North Carolina. This one's called Falling on My Knees. Ready? I'm falling on my knees and I'm begging you, please. Won't you come stand by me, little girl? Oh, won't you come stand by me? Well, I wish to the Lord that I never had been born or died when I was young, little girl. I wish I died when I was young.
That's just pitiful.
I never would have kissed your red ruby lips. I'd never heard you lying tongue, little girl. Oh, I'd never heard you lying tongue. I'm falling on my knees and I'm begging you, please. Won't you come and stand by me, little girl? Oh, come along and stand by me.
There you go.
I'm going down that road, that long, lonesome road. Oh, hang down your pretty head and cry, little girl. Oh, hang down your pretty head and cry. I'm falling on my knees and I'm begging you, please. Come along and stand by me, little girl. Oh, come along and stand by me. I hope you never, 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 never. I hope you never get to heaven when you die, little girl. I hope you never get to heaven when you die. 'Cause I'm falling on my knees and I'm begging you, please. Come along and stand by me, little girl. Oh, come along and stand by me.
Yeah, get your fiddle back
Hey,
out.
get your fiddle out, Johnny. Here's a fiddle tune for you here. We've been playing for a little while. It's about time to give a fiddler a dram here. How about
All right.
Dance All Night, Give a Fiddler a Dram? And it goes by a few titles there, but this one we got off of fiddling Roger Cooper from Lewis County, Kentucky, is where we learned this sort of particular version. Ready, fellas?
Oh.
nothing of a jawbone since old jawbone Jimmy come along and come south with a blue dress on. I've been gone. Pretty little girl with a red dress on. She took it off and I put it on. Pretty little girl with a red dress on. Oh, dance all night with the ball in your hand, ball in your hand, oh, ball in your hand. Dance all night with the ball in your hand, just for a day you fiddle your grand.
Well, there are many people to thank for our broadcast, not the least of whom is Hogtown, our guest on tonight's program. We want to thank all of you for listening to our webcast, watching us on social media, and those listening to us on our growing network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU. That's Red Barn's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at weku.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, you got to be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and future programs. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. And now, before we close out tonight's program, let's bring back Hogtown for an encore.
All right. Well, this is.
Be kind. No, thank you. No applause. Just throw money, except for pennies because they hurt and they're hard to count.
Well, we've this has kind of become a tradition to close out our program with this song. This song comes from closer to our neck of the woods, just down the road from Moorhead's, a little town of Olive Hill, where Tom T. Hall, the songwriter, was born and raised. And this is one of his songs called "The Fastest Rabbit Dog in Carter County Today."
Well, get out, let's go for some flying grease. We're gonna have us a rabbit to eat. Blue's got a big one, he's headed this way. He's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Riding Blue, riding to get your gun. Listen to what I say. Riding Blue, riding to get your gun. He's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Oh, yeah. Them dogs in Round County boys, they can't hold a light. Blue run that rabbit all day and night. Red bone and Blue taking part fast. They say he's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Run Blue, run to get your gun. Listen to what I say. Run Blue, run to get your gun. He's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Kick that old brush pile, I'll prove what I say. He's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Run, blue, run, Billy, get your gun. Listen to what I say. Run, blue, run, Billy, get your gun. He's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Oh, Run, blue, run, Billy, get your gun. Listen to what I say. Oh, run, blue, run, Billy, get your gun. He's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Oh, he's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today. Yes, he's the fastest rabbit dog in Carter County today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Brad.
Well, that's all for our show for this week, folks. You can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide, though, as we stream live on the web, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. Hey, and it's always great to hear from all of you who listen to Red Barn Radio's archive performances on your favorite streaming platforms. That's speaking of you listeners, please don't forget to engage with us. We need your comments, we need your sharing, and your choice to subscribe to our newsletter. That matters so much to us, keeps us growing and continuing our mission to bring roots music, Southern style to your neck of the woods and beyond. And now we bid you good night. Let's stick together, let's appreciate each other. Heaven's sakes, let's get along, and let's join up again next week for another great evening of music and conversation on Red Barn Radio. I'm Bradford Becker. See you next time.